Hi, I'm Annie Oxiger, and this is my narrative speech. My mother was such a strong person. From the time she was about 13 years old, she lost her mother to leukemia. So, of course, the family was devastated, and her 7 brothers and sisters pretty much raised themselves while their dad was out working. When she was about 17 years old, she had surgery in a hospital and she didn't know if she'd ever be able to walk again. And it was at that time that my father, the sailor, was visiting the hospital taking playing cards to all the sick people when he met my mom and instantly fell in love and knew that he had to marry her. And so fast forward about 5 or 6 years, and they moved my brother and myself up to Port Angeles from San Diego so that they could raise their family in a safe environment. But because my dad was in the military, he was stationed elsewhere. So basically, my mother raised us alone out in the wilderness. And back in 1978, it was the wilderness out in Port Angeles. So again, that's where my mom was such a strong person and very courageous. She wore both hats. She was both the dad and the mom, and she had a lot of responsibility raising us all by herself. And I think because of that, I had a very special bond with my mom, a very good friendship with her and respect for her. But I have a theory that we mistreat our friends because they let us. I think that when we are having our bad days and we lash out, our friends take our abuse because they love us. And I think that's true with moms. I think they give us this unconditional love. So when I was in high school, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember being a selfish kid and being a little resentful because she couldn't come to my gymnastic meets, or she was different. She ended up being on crutches and bald, or didn't have hair, and that was a little embarrassing. I'm ashamed to say that, but it was a little hard to get used to. But I'll never forget being in the Swedish hospital with her while she was having her chemotherapy treatments and taking care of this woman that had done everything for me. And here I was taking care of her in a hospital, giving her sponge baths, helping her use the restroom. Keep in mind, she couldn't walk. She was bedridden. So it was a very surreal experience, and I can remember it just like it was yesterday. But again, I think it really cemented our relationship. So, time went on. She went into remission, and later on in my life, I started planning for my wedding, and I was going to meet my mother for lunch one day. And because she was such a charitable person, she used to go to the hospital and visit people who were sick and do what's called Eucharistic administering, and it was, doing church stuff for them while they were in the hospital. And she told me she had to stop in there, and I made the assumption that's what she was doing. And I kept waiting, and I kept waiting, and I was impatiently waiting in the car, getting pretty ticked off with her because she was making me wait. And she finally came out about 45 minutes from the hospital, and of course I read her the riot act and, told her I was starving and, geez, why couldn't she hurry up? Well, come to find out about a week later, when her and my dad had finally strategized on how to tell me again that she had cancer, she told me that, and I felt miserable because I remember just being so disrespectful and chewing her out for being late when here she was getting the worst news of her life again. And I have a lot of regret with my actions. I don't know who wouldn't. But again, shame on me. So, she had her cancer treatment and she went into remission and life was good again. And by this time, I had children and she loved the grandkids. She loved to watch them for me while I went to work. I worked full time. I was married, was leading a busy life. And as they often tend to do, things come back and bite you in the butt. And my mother was diagnosed with cancer for a third time. And I remember asking her, do you want me to take any time off from work to take care of you? Do you need anything? And she's like, no, just go to work. I'm going to be fine. And I just remember thinking about my mom laying in bed all day, staring at the walls and looking out the window and just thinking she must feel absolutely terrible. She ended up losing her life to cancer that time. And I just keep thinking about the things that I could have done. I remember telling her, once you start feeling better, I'll take you for a drive. It'll get your mind off of these four walls that you're looking at all day. But I never did that, and I never had the chance to do that. And I feel so much remorse and regret for what I did. And, I wonder how many of us out there in life do that every day. We kind of take for granted the time we have to spend with the people that we love. We might tell ourselves, I'm going to miss my kid's soccer game, but that's okay, there will be another one. Or I'm going to stay late at work tonight because I need to get this report done. But there's always things that come up, and we put off the ones that we love because they take our abuse. They can deal with it, they love us. But there comes a point in time when you have regrets, and you think of those lost opportunities. And so I think it's so important to just really sit down and think about what your priorities are, and do you have regrets, and is there anything you can do to change them? I would encourage everybody under the sun to spend more time with the ones that they love. I wish I would have.